Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have two special guests. I'll let them introduce themselves, but they're two different types. You have Amanda, who is an INFP, and you have Jack, who is an ENFP. So Amanda, do you like to start off?
No, Jack.
Yeah, I feel like this is like the first thing that you do in a class, like you introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Jack. My name's Jack. You know, I've been going to this school for however many,
Circle time.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So I'm Jack. Let's see, I'm a 23-year-old mechanical engineer, currently working here in New Hampshire in the Seacoast area. I'm not going to get any more specific for any of you creeps out there. But yeah, I don't know.
Okay, cut. Okay. I'm Amanda. I am 26 years old. Also living in the general area. And I work in book publishing.
Thank you guys for the introduction. Similar to the rest of my videos, this is going to be a casual conversation. I'm just going to ask these two questions about certain functions. And before we begin, you guys need to understand, they don't really know much about Myers-Briggs. The most you told me that you actually took a test and then you got a certain result. What was that?
I think I got INTJ, which was just wrong.
Yeah. Ultimately, we're just going to have fun conversation, just to get to know both of you.
Yeah.
You guys okay with that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Well, I want to leave.
So my first question is this. When it comes down to Myers-Briggs, you guys have functions that are very similar to each other, but a little off. Something that I told both of you personally is that when you guys have conversations, it feels very chaotic. It jumps from topic to topic very easily. Right? Can you guys tell me how you guys interpret having conversations? And do you guys know when topics are being switched? Or is it so natural that it just sounds like you guys are on the same topic?
Yeah. Well, honestly, like, I can definitely tell when topics are being switched, and it's really frustrating sometimes because I'm like, wait, I have more to say on this one topic before we switch.
Gee, sorry.
Yeah. but then it's like the conversation's already like flowing in that direction.
Yeah.
And so you can't really like circle back to it. But then every now and then there's a time when it comes up again in later in conversation, and it's really satisfying. You'd be like, yes, I finally had a chance to say that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that definitely happens a lot. But like in terms of the natural flow of the conversation, it's mainly just like different ideas like connect in different ways, and then you can just kind of jump from topic to topic. Yeah, they just relate in certain ways, and it's easy to go back and forth.
Yeah, I agree. I think things really just flow pretty naturally. I will say I do notice as well if it jumps from something and I'm like, oh, we just totally changed to something like 1,000% different. But also I'm fine like bringing it up later. Even if it's not what we're talking about now, be like, hey, backtracking like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
We just finished.
And like 5 topics ago.
Yeah.
And when you guys notice that conversations are switching, do you guys ever feel like, hey, we need to complete this thought, or we need to put closure to this topic before we move? Or is it, okay, we can come back to it if we need to? For me as a person, I need closure, right? Especially when it comes down to like certain topics, like, okay, hey, like let's go back to this because I need to understand exactly why we talked about it. Is there an emotional feeling when topics is changed? Or is it, oh, this is fun, let's keep seeing where it leads?
I think if I'm talking to someone and if it keeps going, I'm usually just having fun, and it just kind of naturally goes, and I don't really care.
Okay.
Yeah. That's sort of like if it's a serious conversation, then it's definitely like I would want closure on it.
Yeah.
Even if it did like bounce to a different topic. So I guess it's more of like a topic by topic basis. But yeah, most of the time, if I'm just like shooting the shit with some friends, then it doesn't really matter if we get closure on the conversation or not.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel constricted when someone's like, hey, let's stop bouncing around, let's talk about this? Does that infuriate you guys? Like, do you guys get an emotional response from it? Is there something that triggers in the back of your head, like, we are talking about the same thing? What do you think?
No.
Not really, yeah.
I feel like we're generally more easygoing.
Yeah.
We're not like, no, we need to have structure. It's kind of just like, I'm fine going where someone else is more comfortable.
Yeah. And honestly, like, I feel like a lot of it is if like we're having a conversation and then like I would bring something up that's kind of on a different subject, and then it's whether or not the other person kind of feeds into that subject. Mm-hmm. So like if we're talking, I don't know, I can't really think of an example right now, but
we're talking about the umbrellas.
Yeah.
So nice.
Yeah, those umbrellas are so nice.
There's sandwiches across the street.
Those are but like they're back to the umbrellas, like that sort of thing. Yeah.
I also went to the sandwich shop like last week, and it was really good.
Oh, was it good?
Yeah.
What would you get there?
I don't remember, but those umbrellas.
Those are some pretty umbrellas.
The next question I have is something that I've noticed personally when it comes down to ENFPs and INFPs. There is a people component to the way that you guys try to live your life. INFPs that I know tend to want people to live life as authentically to them as possible, to live a way that makes the most sense to them. But INFPs tend to not be pushy when it comes down to people living that way. ENFPs, on the other hand, instead of them wanting to live a very authentic life, they want to know what is authentic to other people so that they understand and respect what the other person goes through. How do you guys feel about authenticity, and how do you guys feel about, let's say, like people who you believe are not living a very real life to who they are as a person?
That might need some thought. Hold on. Wait, cut here. Oh yeah, jump cut.
I guess I would gauge how open they are to discussing that first, and if that's something they're dead set on being and doing, then that's their life and that's their choice. But I would also happily sort of try and problem solve with them, and maybe get to the root of why they are unhappy or what authentic might be if I'm close with them.
And how do you do that?
I guess I might ask some leading questions, some very leading questions, and try to maybe guide them to a goal which I think is accurate, or like which I might have picked up, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Kind of applying your own life experience to their situation.
My wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm probably like the same sort of thing. Like I don't want to intrude on their life, and like it definitely depends on the level of friendship that I have with the person. Like I'm not gonna go up to a random stranger and be like, you should actually live your life like this way, not that way. I feel comfortable talking about that sort of thing with people, and if it's clear that they're not happy, I'll definitely be like, hey, is everything going okay?
Yeah.
Is there anything like
you okay, buddy?
Yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay, let's dig a little deeper into that topic. So we had a discussion before we started recording this, and the discussion was about our own internal values and who we are and what we believe in as a person. Have you guys ever encountered people where you hear them talk about their values, but it doesn't stem from them, that there's something else that influence what they perceive to be their values, and how does that make you feel?
I feel like I usually don't want to make assumptions about a person and what is informing their decisions, and if it's like something that's not really my business. So if I hear something and I'm thinking, my first thought isn't going to be, well, is that really what they're thinking? What is informing that decision? Maybe I will follow up with that, but in the moment, that's probably not what I'm. Does that make sense?
It does, but at what point do you realize that, hey, this doesn't sound right, or this doesn't feel right? This doesn't feel like that person.
I think immediately.
Immediately. Yeah,
if I know them. If I otherwise, again, not really my place to assume. But yeah, this is a hard question.
The next question is, how do you know when you know a person? Is there a way or something that someone says or something that you do with someone where you're just like, I actually know this person?
I feel like the level of comfort someone might have with you, like to tell you certain things or interact in a certain way, like to say something that's completely off the wall crazy that you might not say to a stranger, and like, oh, they're comfortable enough to say that, to me.
Yeah.
Or maybe confide in me in something that like, oh, I guess we're friends that way. Cool. I didn't know that, but and just I feel like once that person kind of shows you those parts of themselves, it kind of puts itself together.
Honestly, I don't really know if there's a specific time that I notice it happening. Oh yeah. I don't really know if there's a specific time that I notice it happening. It's just kind of like one day if I meet the person, I'm like, oh wow, I actually we know each other pretty well, and we're pretty good friends. I don't really notice it as it's happening, kind of just after the fact. One
of the common things about being an FI user is that we believe in individuality. We believe that each person should be who they are regardless of the context, or as true yourself as possible. How do you guys feel when someone say something like, why are you so weird, or why don't you act normal? How does that feel, and what goes on in your head?
I don't really care.
Okay.
No, if it's not someone that I care about, then
yeah.
if they don't know me, what really right do they have to has an opinion on me, and I feel like the people who you care about, if they think you're weird, then and they're friends with you,
they must not think you. Yeah, they must not think you're that weird. Yeah,
also that weird too.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Yeah, I think it's like if it's a stranger, then I wouldn't really care. If it was like a friend, I'd be like, "Why are you saying that?" Like,
Jack, actually, I have something to tell you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think I'd really take it personally. You know, everybody has their own like lens that they look through life in, and if theirs is different than mine, and they think I'm weird, then so be it.
And maybe I secretly think they are weirder.
Yes, yeah.
You know, internally.
They're judging me, but I'm judging them harder. Exactly. They just don't know it. Yeah.
How do you guys feel about people who care a little too much about what other people think? Like, what words of wisdom do you have for those people who are like, I need to fit in, and in order for me to fit in, I have to be like everyone else?
I would say that if you're trying to fit into a crowd that you feel like you have to change yourself for, that might not be your crowd. Which is not to say that like you can't be friends with people in that crowd, or you can't enjoy the time that you spend in that crowd. But I wouldn't try to change yourself in a way that you think would make you unhappy to fit in.
Yeah, I think you find actual happiness when you're not trying to mold yourself into something that you might not, actually fit into. Like, I know, like, probably, honestly, before COVID, you can get deep here.
Yeah.
I was probably more concerned, I mean, as every, like, middle schooler or high schooler is, I was so much more concerned about, like, appearance and stuff, and, how you're coming off to people. But, like, even just like after like the COVID lockdown and everything, I was kind of just like, you know what? I don't really care. Like I used to put on like makeup for meetings, like on Zoom and stuff, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, I don't need to do that. I don't really care what they think. So it brings you a different level of peace, I think, if you're not so constantly concerned about other people
and their opinions and their thoughts.
And I think other people would be happier if they were. I mean, maybe they won't.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess like as an extension to that, definitely, because I graduated college about 15 months ago. Thank you. I'm very proud. And that was like the first time that I'd ever really been away from family, from like a community that I was kind of put into. From family and like from family friends, like from a bunch of people I know. And so coming in, like making new friends entirely, and kind of realizing like, there are so many people here that I could meet and then never see again, so why not just be myself? And then find the people who I can mesh with like that.
Yeah.
Like that would just be, that it just makes more sense to do that. And not that I didn't do that before, but it really just like struck me harder. And it made me realize that kind of moving out on my own.
Like if I want to wear Crocs and, sneakers, not Crocs, Crocs and socks, like at Hanford.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's you can do that. Yeah.
Who cares?
I certainly would.
And if they care, but it doesn't matter.
Then who cares about that? Yeah. Who cares about their opinion?
I do that a lot too.
For the lower functions for the INFP and ENFP, it's flip, but it's extroverted thinking and introverted sensing. Let's start off with extroverted thinking. So extroverted thinking is pretty much a function where it's the get shit done attitude. How good are you guys at creating plans, at sticking to a plan, at executing a plan, or like executing within a deadline when it's internal and it has to do with you yourself?
Me first? You got to process, yeah. Well, I guess like in terms of fitness goals, like, I definitely want to get in shape, and so I started running, but it was mainly just because I enjoyed running. Versus fair enough. Yeah, it was mainly just because I enjoyed running, like not necessarily because I wanted to get in shape. Overall, I feel like I'm pretty good at making plans though. Like I'm definitely in a lot of friend groups, I'm like the one to reach out and be like, hey, let's do this, and like what time works for everybody, like that sort of thing. And I'm usually pretty good about like sticking to that, making sure everybody has like an understanding. I've definitely noticed that when somebody else tries to plan stuff and then it's like the day before and we still don't have a solid plan, I'm like, yeah, that's definitely us.
For example,
today, yeah. But I mean, that's okay. Like I'm not saying it was a bad thing, but yeah, like I definitely like notice like when that sort of thing happens. And then it kind of, I'm start to panic a little bit, like, okay, wait, where are we meeting? Like, what's going on? And then I also arrive late to things. So maybe I'm not actually that good at planning stuff and sticking to it.
I think I'm pretty good at taking initiative in like new situations. Like, I feel like us, I mean, not so much you, but like, when we first started hanging out, I feel like that was me who was
It was
reaching
you.
out to
It was
people
you.
constantly. It's kind of like, hey, until they started to like me.
Fair. That's definitely fair. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you're weird, but you're okay.
Oh, thank you. I mean, fitness goal-wise, that could use some work, if we're being honest. But like in a work setting, I don't mind being the person to take the initiative and like set, this is what we're gonna do. This is when we need to do it by. Yeah.
Is it comfortable to take initiative?
No. But that's like probably the social anxiety. That's like, ooh. But it's kind of just like, if I decide I want to throw myself out there, then I'll do it after a lot of thinking about it.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty comfortable with taking initiative. Like, if there's something that needs to get done, like, well, for instance, at work, there's a cart that's like meant to be a toolbox for all the engineers, and it has never been in good condition. Like, there's never been a system to it. It's just a bunch of stuff thrown into a bin with like sharp stuff too, like box cutters and stuff are in there, like with the blades open. And so at work, I was, it kind of is. It's not safe. And so I was, it's definitely not. But yeah, and then I was just like, this is so frustrating. I'm just gonna take initiative and make this my project and like redo this.
And they all clapped.
Yes, yeah. And they're like, yes. No, they did. They basically did. Because nobody else wanted to do it for some reason, which is kind of funny because I really enjoy that sort of thing. Like, I really enjoy having like that, just this small toolbox, and I'm like, okay, I need to people need these tools. I need to make them fit into this toolbox and make it organized and make a system for it so that if a tool goes missing, people know how to get a new one. If it all has a spot so people know where, they don't have to like work to find the spot where it goes, or they won't just throw it back in. They'll just have like put it in the foam cutout for it. So
like, side note, can I invite you to do my closet?
Yeah.
That needs help. I don't want to do it.
Fair enough.
It sounds like your niche.
We'll see. Clothes is one thing that will go right over my head. I have no idea how to organize that. Tools, though.
All right, let's talk about the last function then. The final function is Introverted Sensing. How do you guys feel about routine? Would you guys be okay if you had to do a job where you had to do the exact same thing every single day, where there's no room of doing anything outside of what is needed to be done?
Yeah.
I think so. I think my soul would wither and die. My job right now, it's very kind of like interdisciplinary, and that's what I like about it.
Define what that means.
Okay, so like I started out in a role where I was just like editing books, like literally just like proofreading day in, day out, and that was just, kind of soul crushing. I mean, to each their own. Sorry to any editorial workers out there. But I think as I progress in my career and as I continue to learn new things and get to work with different departments and different people each day, where I come in and it's something different, that keeps me kind of energized, I think, in a way that just day-to-day monotony of the same would just not jive for the long term.
I definitely don't think I would last in a job like that. And it's not like exactly the same sort of thing, but the job that I'm at right now, I have days where, like, I have weeks where I just sit at my desk the entire time, and then like I have like a week where I'll be out on the shop floor the entire time. And so having that contrast, having that variety in work environment has really been important to me. And like, yeah, I definitely don't think that I'd be able to sit down and just grind out spreadsheets for 8 hours a day and go home and live a happy life.
It's because you're normal.
It's because I'm normal, yeah. No offense to people who do that out there.
Adding on to that question, how do you guys feel about things not turning out as planned? Like, are you guys okay with a little bit of chaos? Like, are you guys okay with a little bit of ambiguity, or is that like huge no-no, whether it's in your personal life, in relationships, or at work, or just anything? How do you guys feel about a little bit of chaos? Or, unless you guys like a lot of chaos. Chaos in this term just means things that just aren't solidified and it can pretty much go any direction.
I like having a plan.
Really?
Yeah. Yesterday, I was meeting a friend, and I was driving into a city to do it, and she called, and I didn't know where I was going, and she called when I was about to exit, saying, we're moving to a different restaurant. And then that restaurant changed 3 times in the course of like 0.5 miles when I was trying to exit, and I was trying to like put different things into Google Maps, and that was just like, I mean, bad driving aside. I was like, oh no, I already checked, what the parking situation was ahead of time. I like Google Earthed it to see if I was around, just to like, got that street view, just to make sure I knew where I was going. And that definitely kind of freaked me out, because then I had to like, the parking's my weakness. It's my kryptonite, so that's another thing entirely. But no, I definitely like to know ahead of time like what we're doing.
That's fair, yeah. Honestly, like, I don't mind chaos, but that sounds like indecisive chaos.
Yeah.
And like that definitely would be just frustrating. Like, let's pick something to do. But I mainly just get attached to the idea of like having a fun time. And so as long as I have a fun time, well, obviously I guess everybody gets attached to the idea of wants to have a fun time. So as long as I have a fun time, then I'm really, like, I don't really mind. We could like, I don't know, I'll drive up to Portland right now and go hang out there, and I'd still have a fun time, so I wouldn't mind. But the parking, shoot, I didn't think about that. Yeah, okay, maybe not then. But yeah, no, like, yeah, just the, I don't mind chaos, but as long as I'm having fun, I'm having fun. Does it line up?
It lines up with, what I've been, the INFPs and ENFPs and the subreddits and people that I've been meeting.
We're perfect there. Yeah.
Let's start talking about introversion and extroversion. Jack, you and I spoke earlier, and actually the 3 of us spoke earlier about this. At what point did you realize that you were more introverted as opposed to extroverted, or extroverted as opposed to introverted? And how did it make you feel after you realized that you were on one side of the spectrum more often than the other?
Maybe in high school, when I was never invited to any of those weekend parties, and I only heard of them when I saw them in the police log after. And I realized I was okay with that.
Yeah.
I was okay having a weekend at home with my parents, and it didn't really impact how I felt or anything.
Yeah,
it was like a good way to recharge. But yeah, I feel like I'm comfortable enough in myself that I'm not like fixated on being an introvert or being an extrovert. Or
Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm like fixated on it either, but I definitely like there was a time when I noticed that I was definitely more.
You were like,
yeah, there's a time when I noticed that I was definitely more extroverted than introverted, and it was back when I graduated college, because back in college I was around everybody my same age. I was around everybody who had similar interests, and I saw them for at least like 8 hours a day. And that's where everybody met friends. That's where people met partners. That was everybody's social life. And so I definitely focused more on the academic side of things, but I didn't really realize how much social interaction I was getting until I moved away, and I didn't really get that. And so I've definitely noticed that I've become I wouldn't say I've become a lot more extroverted, but I've noticed a lot more of my extroverted tendencies in this past year or so, when it's really been like, I'm not seeing people socially. I'm not seeing all my friends like in class every day.
Yeah.
So like I have to I still want to see all my friends, obviously, or make new friends and see people and socialize. So I'm just gonna have to go do that myself.
Right.
I didn't realize how much was built into my life.
Right. Like when you don't have that built-in community, how do you respond to that?
Exactly.
What do you do? Do you like reach out, or are you just kind of like, it's all right?
Yeah. Like I'm just gonna hang out in my bed. Yeah, hang out in my bed all day. Which there was definitely like times like that.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But there was definitely times like that for me. And then eventually I was just like, I just have to go socialize and meet people. Like that's probably why I'm not feeling good right now. And so I started doing that, and it was good. It was good for me.
All right, the next question I have, let's talk about ENFPs first. One of the common stereotypes for ENFPs are that you guys are lovable idiots. That you guys are very outgoing.
Yeah.
Right. For
a lot of people have described me as a golden retriever. So
golden retriever. Yeah. But the thing is, and I think what I want to emphasize is like the ENFPs. What I've noticed is that for people who don't really know ENFPs, they make assumptions that you guys are just not intelligent. Is that something that you've ever faced? And if for those ENFPs out there that are feeling that way, where they feel like they have to prove their intelligence, right? What advice do you have for them?
Wait, can you repeat that? Sorry. I just got to think about that.
Did you ever feel like you had to prove your intelligence?
Did anyone ever call you a dumb blonde?
Oh, no. Nobody ever called me a dumb blonde. So my family is a very academic family, and I definitely did not feel like the smartest in my family. I was definitely on like the lower side of my family, but we were always like in an atmosphere where it was like that didn't really matter as much, I guess, or not that it didn't matter, but that people didn't like diss you on it. I guess people weren't like you're an idiot and stuff, and like I definitely worked hard to study and like learn stuff, but I also like a lot of things like I'm really not very knowledgeable in like, you know, like I couldn't do your job. I would have no idea how to how to like
Likewise.
yeah like I would have no idea how to edit a book, but I just kind of found what I was passionate about and followed that. And I mean, it kind of just goes back to if people are judging you, I mean, there's some things where it's like sometimes like you can get legitimate criticism out of like just people being assholes, like, and you can get legitimate feedback, but if they're just being assholes, then just ignore them, you know. Like, don't feel like you have to prove yourself to anybody. Just do whatever makes you happy. It's a very stereotypical answer.
Fuck the haters.
But yeah.
Just be on a sign.
Yeah.
Live, laugh, love.
Live, laugh, love. Yeah, the 3 L's.
Amanda, now we're going to focus on the INFPs. One of the very common stereotypes of INFPs are that you guys are emotional crybabies. That INFPs have a bad reputation online, that you guys will cry over everything because you guys have very strong emotional reaction to a lot of things, right? What do you have to say about that? And what do you have to say to people who are younger INFPs who are starting to believe that stereotype when I don't think it's true?
I think that being empathetic is a strength, and being able to, you know, empathize with other people and put yourself in their situations, and if that makes you emotional, then, you know, that's fine. Disregarding the dog video I cried at earlier today, I feel like, and maybe, you know, a few others, I've never really found myself to be overly emotional, and I don't think I would be described as that either. I think. It's like The Office. I think I might have a strong initial emotional reaction, but then that's something that I can kind of not table, but like, what's the right word here? Not get over it, but like, yeah, like once that's there, I'm like, okay, that's how I feel about it, and now what? You know, like next steps here. Don't need to continue feeling a type of way. If that answers.
Does that answer for you?
I don't know. I think so. Yeah.
There are types out there who believe that the cognitive function that both of you have as like your top 2 function is a weakness. The weakness is that you guys have a lot of emotional attachments to your ideas. There are people out there who have no emotional attachment to ideas, so they can jump from, oh, I like this idea, I like this idea, I like this idea, right? Like, let's use politics, for example. There are certain people who are willing to play devil's advocate because they're not invested on any side, right? For those people who believe that having values that you attach yourself to, that you use to identify you as a person, if they see it as a weakness, right, what do you have to say to those people? Does that make sense?
I think so, yeah. Well, I to be honest, there are a lot of situations where I do like playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
And it's just because I really like to think through stuff too. Like I feel like I don't like to jump to conclusions on things. And then but I definitely do get attached to my ideas. Like if I suggest something, like project from school or like at work or something, and if I suggest something, and then somebody else suggests something else, and I explain why I think it's better, but then everybody else still goes with that idea. That kind of pisses me off. It's like I still think I'm better.
I think it's more along the lines of think of a hill that you're willing to die on. Like for me personally, right? I believe in universal healthcare, right? Like I believe that everyone in the U.S., we're the richest country in the world, should have universal healthcare. That's a hill I'm willing to die on, right? Like, is there something that you guys are willing to die on, and then like just kind of explain the thought process as to why it's so important? I guess. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm asking the question correctly.
I don't know. There's a lot. I feel like I'm a pretty open person. I just require a good argument to change my thoughts. Like I feel like all of my political beliefs, if or yeah, like just to kind of go like universal healthcare, like political beliefs. Like I agree with universal healthcare as well. And I feel like that's because I've read up on it or at least read up on it enough to understand that it's feasible in this country and feasible for basically every other first world nation.
There's already like 38 countries that's used it.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous that we don't have it already. That's not to say I wouldn't change my mind if there's just something I completely don't understand about the whole thing, and if like something like those other countries are like that have universal healthcare, like the healthcare is like secretly just poisoning everybody or something. I don't know. Yeah. I feel there's a couple things I'm willing to die on because I feel like I've heard all of the arguments for it and I've made up my mind, but I'm always open to hear new things. I guess that's a good way to sum it up. I'm always willing to learn new information, always willing to hear new things and change opinions. But like universal healthcare is definitely one of I don't know, like other political beliefs. I definitely feel like I've heard all arguments enough to have my decision made up.
Yeah, I agree. I can't think of any like specific example for like one thing that I feel like, yep, this is the hill I die on, but I feel like in general in daily life, if I think I'm right, then I think I'm right, but that doesn't mean I'm like resistant to change entirely. And like I definitely like I'm like, yeah, I'll hear you,
Yeah,
it's not like no.
Do you guys believe that you guys are emotional people?
Yes, I definitely don't understand my emotions a lot of the times. I'll say that, but I definitely think I'm an emotional person.
Yeah.
Why?
Why am I emotional person? Like,
Why do you think that you're emotional?
I don't know. I think it's just how I am. I've never really put much thought into why.
It's just my state of being.
Yeah, it's just my state of being. Like, I mean, I've thought about it as in like, is there something affecting me negatively that's making me this emotional? And like, is that something I should change? But there hasn't really been. Like, I haven't really found an answer to that. So I think it's just who I am.
Yeah, it's not something I've ever really considered.
Really?
Yeah.
So you never consider whether you're heartless or not?
Well, I know I'm not. What are you saying?
Because me, as an INTJ, right, like I know when I was a high schooler, right, I know it was heartless. Like legitimate, any type of feelings, like no, get the fuck out of here. Logic is what matters the most. But now, as an adult, now that I have time to actually get to know myself, now it's like okay, like emotions actually matter. You guys never had to have that conversation where you have to justify that emotions actually matter.
No.
Yeah, I don't think I ever did. It was always just the way I was like raised, and I think my parents definitely like instilled in me like that. Yeah, emotions are important, and it's okay to be sad, and it's okay to be, afraid and hurt in a lot of situations, and like I don't need to shut that down, which I'm very grateful that they've taught me that way, because I feel like the stereotypical guy thing is just like shove it all down until you're depressed and alcoholic at 50 years old.
Yeah, go run a lap.
Yeah, exactly. Go run another lap. So I'm really glad that they raised me in a way that I don't need to feel bad for having emotions.
Yeah, especially.
I don't know if that's like the answer.
No, that's a good answer.
Answers the question.
Answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can feel the way you feel as long as it's not negatively impacting other people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even if it is negatively impacting other people, like it's still worth having those emotions and seeing why, and then like seeing how that influences your behavior.
Oh yeah, but not like forcing it.
I want to make sure you're heard.
Sorry.
And not forcing
it onto other people and expecting them to like feel the same way.
Yeah. Not like being like I'm sad, so you have to be sad.
Exactly.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, I definitely don't do that.
Yeah, no.
All right, final question.
Man, this went fast. Wow.
I mean, we can keep going, but like, I want to make sure I get this question. Let's make the assumption that you guys are the type that I say you guys are. If you could give an advice to your younger self, however old that person might be, what advice would you give to someone that is your type, that is probably a lot younger, that's watching this video, trying to find out who they are as a person?
That's kind of tough. I don't know. I don't think of myself as like a wise person able to give advice. Say yes more, I guess, would definitely be. I mean, I feel like it's a very stereotypical thing to say, and obviously don't do it in like situations that could get you killed or anything. Don't do anything stupid. If people ask you something and you say no, it's likely that they're not going to ask you again. If they were like, "Hey, come hang out at my place" or whatever, and if you didn't like it, then you just don't have to go again. But just get as much life experience as you can.
Yeah, I would say in a similar vein, just like take risks more.
Yeah.
Because you don't know if you don't try.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I feel like there were a lot of things that I never tried that I like there was no reason not to.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, oh, okay, well, no opportunity for that now. But like,
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt. Well, it could, but like, it doesn't generally hurt to just put yourself out there. So
Yeah. As long as you're not doing anything stupid, like just say yes. You know?
Why didn't you guys say yes to those opportunities?
cowardice. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, honestly, there's definitely some of that for me.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it like was I was just tired a lot, and I mean, like especially like back during college, which that's kind of the main aspect I'm putting in it right now, the main frame of reference I'm putting it in. Like I focused a lot on the academic side of things, so my brain was fried most of the day just from like doing schoolwork, and so like looking back on it, I think I probably would have done a little worse in school if I had said yes, but I definitely would have gone out more.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, not that I regret the time that I've spent in college. Like I still had a great time, but there are some things that's like, wow, I kind of wish I said yes to that and went to that event or that party. Or,
FOMO?
oh yeah, a little bit of that, yeah.
I feel like I was pretty anxious in general, just like this ball of anxiety as a person, and I didn't want to put myself in situations where I wasn't comfortable, and so I didn't really move outside of like this like box that I built myself into a lot. If new situations did come up, it's like, oh, like I got invited to like go do these things with these people I don't know that well, and it's kind of like, well, what if they don't like me, and all this stuff, and just like come up with like 1,000 excuses why not to, and then you just don't.
You got to make sure the excuses to not go are like genuine reasons.
Yeah.
That's definitely an important thing to learn in life, is when those excuses are genuine and when they're just being like having anxiety. Because there was definitely some times like that too, when I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. But.
Yeah.
I want to thank both of you guys again for being on this channel. They're going to be my resident NFPs.
Yes.
I'm not really sure how often they're going to be here, but they're going to be here a lot. If you guys have any questions for them, leave in the comment section below. They're not subscribed to me yet because I don't like telling my real life friends my YouTube channel, but I'll make sure they see it. Oh my god. Anyways. All right. Thanks again, everyone, for watching. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Bye, everyone.
Bye.